I always thought my family was unbreakable. My dad was my hero, the kind of guy who would drive 2 hours after work just to see my school play, even if he was exhausted. He wasn't perfect, but he made me feel safe. And then, one day, it all changed. When I was 13, my parents split up. I didn't really understand why. They never yelled in front of me, never threw things, or had screaming matches. It was more like silence. Cold, heavy silence that filled the house. Then, one morning, Dad was gone. His side of the closet was empty, his toothbrush missing. Mom just sat at the table, sipping coffee with this hollow look in her eyes. "Dad?" I asked. "Where is he?" She said, "He's not coming back." Just like that. No explanation, no comfort, nothing. I cried for weeks, but Mom acted like I had to just get over it, like it was normal. But it wasn't, and it got worse. A few months later, she brought someone new home. His name was Carl, and from the second he walked in, I knew something was wrong with him. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with these piercing eyes that never seemed to blink. When he smiled, it wasn't warm. It was more like a smirk, the kind that made you want to look away. Mom introduced him like he was the answer to all our problems. "This is Carl," she said, with this weird forced cheerfulness. "He makes me happy." But I didn't buy it. At dinner that night, Carl stared at me way too long when I wasn't talking, like he was studying me. He barely asked me questions, but when he did, it felt like an interrogation. "So, you're 13, he said. "That's an interesting age." The way he said interesting made my skin crawl. I looked at Mom, expecting her to notice, but she just laughed nervously. "She's shy, Carl. Don't mind her." "No, Mom, it's not that I was shy. It was that your boyfriend gave me chills every time he opened his mouth." The weeks went by, and Carl started staying over more and more. His toothbrush appeared in the bathroom. His clothes filled the closet where Dad's used to be. It was like he was erasing my dad's existence one piece at a time. But the creepiest part was how he acted when Mom wasn't around. When it was just me and him in the house, he didn't bother pretending. He'd just sit there in the living room, staring at the TV that wasn't even on. Sometimes I'd catch him watching me walk across the hallway, and he wouldn't even look away when I noticed. Just this cold, dead stare. One night, I went to grab water from the kitchen, and he was standing there in the dark. Not moving, just standing. I almost screamed, "Jesus, Carl, what are you doing?" He tilted his head and whispered, "Just thinking." "Thinking about what?" "At midnight, in the dark kitchen, while I'm half asleep. I didn't sleep at all that night." I started begging Mom not to let him move in. "Please, Mom," I said. "He's weird. He scares me." But she snapped at me. "You just don't want me to be happy. Carl loves me, and you need to respect that." "Respect? How do you respect someone who creeps around the house like a shadow?" That was when I realized something terrifying. Mom had replaced Dad. Not just replaced him, but erased him. She stopped mentioning him altogether. No photos of him in the house, no stories. If I brought him up, she'd cut me off. "He's gone, okay? Stop living in the past." But I couldn't, because unlike her, I still needed him. And then came the day everything changed. It was a rainy Saturday afternoon. Mom had gone shopping, leaving me alone with Carl. I stayed in my room, headphones in, door locked. I was halfway through a playlist when I heard 3 slow knocks on my door. I froze, took my headphones off. "Yeah?" I said cautiously. Silence. Then a voice low and raspy. "Open the door." I didn't move. My heart was racing. "Open the door." I grabbed my phone, ready to call Mom, when suddenly I heard my window tap. Not knock tap. I turned, terrified, and my jaw dropped. It was Dad. soaking wet from the rain, standing outside my window, motioning for me to open it. I stumbled over, unlocked it, and pushed it up. "Dad?" I whispered. "What are you doing here?" He climbed inside quickly, dripping water all over my carpet. "Shh," he said. "Keep your voice down." I couldn't believe it. My dad was right there in my room after months of silence. "Where have you been? Why didn't you—" He cut me off, his expression serious. "I don't have much time. Has Carl done anything? Has he touched you? Hurt you?" My blood ran cold. "No," I whispered. "But he's weird. He scares me." Dad's jaw clenched. He looked like he wanted to break something. "I knew it. I knew she wouldn't listen. Listen to me, okay? You can't trust him, and you can't trust your mom right now either." I blinked, shocked. "What? Why not Mom?" He leaned closer, eyes burning with urgency. "Because she doesn't know the truth about Carl, but I do, and if she won't protect you, then I will." Before I could ask what he meant, we both heard it. Footsteps coming up the stairs. Heavy. Slow. "Carl." Dad pulled me close. "Don't say a word. Don't tell him I was here. Promise me." I nodded, trembling. The doorknob rattled. "Open the door." Carl's voice came again, deep and commanding. Dad slipped back out the window like a ghost, vanishing into the storm. The doorknob twisted harder. My heart pounded so loud I thought it would give me away. And that's when I realized this wasn't over. It was just beginning. When I got home from school the next day, Ethan was sitting in the living room like he owned the place. His shoes were kicked off, his shirt halfway unbuttoned, and he had a beer in his hand, even though it was barely 3 p.m. "Hey, kid," he grinned. "Your mom's running late. Looks like it's just you and me." My skin crawled. I mumbled something about homework and tried to head straight upstairs. But before I could escape, he called after me. "You know, your dad's not coming back. Might as well get used to it." The words hit me like a punch in the stomach. I wanted to scream at him, to tell him he didn't know anything, but instead, I clenched my fists and hurried to my room. That night, I snuck my phone under the covers and dialed Dad again. My heart raced with every ring, terrified Mom or Ethan would hear. "Hey, champ," Dad whispered when he answered. I could hear street noises behind him, cars, sirens, people talking. He sounded tired, but his voice still carried that warmth I desperately needed. "Dad," I whispered back, tears in my eyes. "He said you're not coming back. Is that true?" There was silence for a moment, then Dad sighed. "Listen, I'm fighting to see you again. But your mom, she's making it hard. I need you to be strong for me, okay? Don't let him win." Something inside me hardened. I wasn't just a scared kid anymore. I had to protect the connection with my dad no matter what. The next weeks were a nightmare. Ethan got bolder every day. He started eating Dad's favorite snacks, using Dad's chair, even wearing his old jacket that Mom hadn't thrown out yet. It was like he was deliberately erasing Dad piece by piece. And Mom? She seemed blind. Whenever I brought up Dad, she'd shut me down instantly. "Stop living in the past," she'd snap. "Ethan is here now. Accept it." But I couldn't. I wouldn't. One evening, something terrifying happened. I was grabbing water from the kitchen when Ethan cornered me. "You think you're better than me, don't you?" he slurred, his breath reeking of alcohol. "You think your precious daddy's some kind of hero? Well, newsflash, he's gone, and I'm the man of this house now." He shoved me against the counter, hard enough to knock the glass out of my hand. It shattered across the floor. My chest tightened with fear, but I forced myself not to cry. Before things could escalate, Mom walked in. "Ethan, what the hell?" He immediately switched tones, raising his hands like he was innocent. "Babe, relax. The kid just dropped a glass. Accidents happen." Mom stared at me. And in that moment, I realized, if I told her the truth, she wouldn't believe me. She was too wrapped up in her fantasy of Ethan being her savior. So I swallowed the fear and stayed quiet. That night, I texted Dad everything. His reply came fast, and his words were sharp. I knew it. I knew he was no good. Listen, if he ever lays a hand on you again, you call me. I don't care what time it is. I clutched the phone, shaking. For the first time, I wasn't just scared. I was angry. A week later, Mom announced a family dinner to make things feel normal. She cooked spaghetti, Dad's favorite, and set the table like it was some kind of celebration. Ethan was smug the whole time, twirling pasta like he'd already won. He kept making little comments about how real men take care of families, how he'd step up where others failed. Every word was a stab at Dad. And then, in the middle of dinner, my phone buzzed. A message from Dad. I'm nearby. I can't take this anymore. I need to see you. My fork froze halfway to my mouth. Nearby? Did he mean right now? I excused myself and slipped out the back door. My heart pounded as I walked down the street, scanning every shadow. And then, I saw him. Dad. Standing under the streetlight, looking thinner than I remembered, but his eyes lighting up when they met mine. Dad! I choked out, running into his arms. For the first time in months, I felt safe. But the moment didn't last. Behind us, I heard a voice I dreaded. Well, 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 isn't this cozy? Ethan. He'd followed me, his face twisted with rage, veins popping in his neck. What the hell do you think you're doing here? He growled at Dad. Dad stepped forward, shielding me. Stay away from my kid. Ethan laughed bitterly. Your kid? You gave that up the moment you left. This is my family now. No, I said, my voice shaking but firm. You'll never be my family. The argument escalated fast. Ethan shoved Dad, Dad pushed back, and suddenly fists were flying. I screamed, begging them to stop, but it was like they didn't hear me. Neighbors started peeking out of windows. Lights turned on. The whole street seemed to hold its breath. And then, flashing red and blue lights appeared. The police. Mom showed up moments later, running barefoot down the sidewalk, tears streaming down her face. She tried to pull Ethan back, screaming at Dad. Why are you here? You're ruining everything! But the officers stepped in, separating them. One of them knelt down to talk to me, asking if I was okay. My hands were still trembling, but I managed to say the truth. He's been hurting me. He's not safe. I pointed at Ethan. That changed everything. Ethan was cuffed right there, still shouting that I was lying, that I was brainwashed. But no one listened. Not anymore. Mom stood frozen, her face pale. She looked at me like she didn't recognize me, and maybe in that moment, she realized she'd chosen the wrong man all along. After Ethan was taken away, Dad knelt in front of me. I'm sorry, champ. I should have been here sooner. I threw my arms around him. I just want you back, Dad. Please. He hugged me tight, and for the first time in forever, I felt like maybe things could be okay again. The days that followed weren't easy. Mom tried to explain herself, tried to say she just wanted stability, that she thought Ethan could fix the broken pieces of our family. But I couldn't look at her the same way. Trust doesn't rebuild overnight. But Dad, he fought harder than ever. Court hearings, custody battles, long nights of paperwork. He didn't give up, and slowly, I realized something important. Families aren't about who fills the empty seat at the table. They're about who shows up for you when it really matters. And Dad, no matter how far he'd fallen, never stopped showing up for me. Mom thought she replaced my dad with her creepy BF. She didn't know I still talked to him, and that bond, it's what saved me.